Listening to the Real Estate Financial Coach podcast, financial planning topics for real estate investors. Welcome to the Real Estate Financial Coach podcast, where we talk about all things real estate and financial planning. I'm Cynthia Meyer. I'm the co-founder of Real Estate Financial Coach and a real estate investor myself, a rental property business owner. And I'm really excited today to kick off this podcast by talking to our other co-founder, Scott Jensen. Scott is an amazing financial planner, the president of Renovate Financial Planning. And he and I have been working together for several years to develop a comprehensive curriculum on financial planning for real estate investors. We co-run a study group in our financial planner network, and we've been having a lot of fun digging into all things real estate investing and financial planning. So welcome, Scott Jensen.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here. We've been talking about starting a podcast for,
Yeah.
I think, years now, and I'm excited we can finally pull the trigger and get this started.
This is going to be so much fun. So tell us, Scott, what is important to know about you?
So just the basics here. I could go on and on for a long time, but I'll spare you that. So I am a financial advisor up in Minnesota, and I am a real estate investor as well. Somehow along the way there, I've married the two together into a business where I do financial planning for real estate investors. And so I started this, right before COVID, actually, and started the firm then. And when I started, I couldn't really find anyone else that was doing it. The reason to start the firm is because I couldn't find anyone else. I was pretty sure that it was a niche that would work well, and just an underserved niche. So I thought, well, I'll fill that role. And so I started the business, and then shortly after, stumbled upon Cynthia's website, actually, when I was, I think, doing a Google search for real estate financial advisor or something like that, after I'd put my own website out there. And then to my chagrin, I stumbled upon Cynthia's website. And so a bit taken aback after I realized, oh no, I'm no longer the only one doing this, or the only one promoting it. Either way, I've realized, boy, it's probably okay if there's more than one of us, because there are a lot of real estate investors to serve. I reached out to Cynthia back then, and we've been talking just about every week for several years now, moving forward, business partner on the Real Estate Financial Coach course, and then running the real estate study group. Yeah, that's a little bit to know about me. I'll throw in a little bit of personal stuff as well. I've been married for a little over 15 years now and have 3 girls. Right now they are 11, 9, and 6. And so they keep me plenty busy.
It's a little bit about your real estate portfolio.
I own and manage 4 rental properties. So I do long-term rental with 2 of them and short-term rental with the other 2 of them. I would say, and I've done some syndications in the past, I would say I am moving more towards short-term rental than a long-term rental. And I'm more of a hands-on investor. I like to do a lot of my own property maintenance or rehabs or those types of things. Yeah, do most things in-house rather than hire out.
And it seems like you and your wife, Katie, you've got great sense for renovating your property. The last one that you did is absolutely gorgeous. The last vacation property that you did, in my opinion. How did you get started? What was your first property?
Oh, sure. So the first investment property was the first property we bought as a primary residence. And really, it's a sort of a house hack type situation. It was 2011. And so the housing market had just taken a huge hit after 2008. So prices were cheap. And my wife and I had saved up enough to buy a house. And we got a little house for $110,000. way back then, and then just began the process of slowly fixing it up as we could scrape a few pennies together. We did that for a number of years, and then eventually we didn't literally fit around the dining room table anymore. We outgrew that little starter house and decided to move. And so the first property became a rental property instead of selling it. That was our introduction to making money with real estate. Other than, we've always made money from real estate via house hacking. We had roommates just about all the time. And so we had always made money off of all of our properties, whether they were investment properties or residences.
I think people would be interested to know like how you're doing this now with the vacation properties that you own and the road trips that you guys take in conjunction with homeschooling. Tell us a little bit about how that's all working for you as a lifestyle for your family.
Yeah, and so that's where we differ from an average family, I think. And so we had enjoyed several vacations on Airbnb in the past, and my wife made the comment while we were at an Airbnb in Florida that she wishes we could rent out our house while we were on vacation. And I thought to myself, yeah, wouldn't that be great? But that'll never happen. And then shortly thereafter, we were trying to figure out how could we make this happen. We were like, there's a few projects left to do on the list, right? I had probably started a dozen different things and they were about 90% done, but they weren't what I would consider ready to have it rented out. But so we just spent a little bit of money to get things finished up, a little bit of time and money to get things finished up and put our house on the market, and decided that we would just see what happens. And hopefully, at the very least, we'd get the money back from the things we spent on the house. Then it turned out it booked straight. Like we put it on in the fall and it almost immediately booked up way faster than we had anticipated. So we were homeless.
For people listening, Scott, you're in a suburb of Minneapolis, right?
Yeah, it's not a vacation destination at all. It's a residential suburb, relatively nice suburb, but not like extravagant or anything. And certainly doesn't seem like a destination. So we were not sure that this would work at all, but we figured we might as well give it a shot. We don't really have anything to lose. And it just booked up really fast. And so we're like, wow, okay.
Take some vacations then.
Yeah, let's get out of here. So we figured out how I could work from the road, which a little bit of adjustment, getting used to where can you get internet out in the middle of nowhere. But we ended up taking numerous road trips we've done, and we've got more planned. I did a vacation in Mexico for a month with the family. And so we've just been able to make this work as almost like a nomadic lifestyle. And it works so well that this last December, we found a house in Forest Lake, just a suburb, another sort of similar sub we were in, but up a little bit more suburban, I would say, or less urban. And we bought a house there that needed some substantial rehab, and we got to work rehabbing it and put that on the market. And now we've got both of the houses rented out on Airbnb the vast majority of the time. And we're sort of still in this nomadic situation. We like the outdoors. I enjoy just tent camping. My in-laws have like a travel trailer that we've used occasionally. We've done vacationing in Airbnbs or other properties and have the revenues from our properties pay for that. So we've been able to do a lot of the things that we wouldn't get to do otherwise, because real estate or short-term rentals have enabled us to do that sort of thing.
That is so cool. That is a really great story.
Yeah, thanks. It's been an interesting journey of just like, how do you solve all of these little problems, right? Because there's the questions about what do you do with your stuff, and how do you, where do you live? And but people are sleeping in your bed, and all of these sort of things that you've just got to say, what's more important? Do you want all of this stuff, or would you like to travel the world? And the way I look at it is, if I go back, or if I think of myself 10 years from now, is there any way that I would regret not having all of that extra stuff? Or would I regret not taking the formative years of my kids and traveling around the US and the world and going on adventures together? And to me, like, the value of stuff, or I guess having a home, is just not worth the potential benefits of all of the adventures we've been able to have together as a family.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting story. I think it'd be good to have you and Katie come on in the future and talk about it together. And
yeah, it is fun. And we split the responsibilities of the rental properties pretty well together. She does a lot of managing the Airbnb, communicating with tenants and all that sort of thing. I do majority of financial projections, and then the actual maintenance and repairs on the properties and those sorts of things. And so it's pretty good balance.
Scott, tell us a little bit about how you work with folks in your firm, which is called Renovate Financial Planning.
Sure. And so this was new to me. My training in financial planning was formal, right? I've got a CFP, and then I worked for a very good firm in Minneapolis, just a small registered investment advisor firm that did really good work for clients, but they didn't have much of a framework for folks investing in real estate and really just weren't set up well to do that. That's when I just branched off and started my own firm. But so what I do is I take a look at real estate as one of the primary things that a client will be invested in. And then how do I support that with the other types of assets, stocks and bonds, those types of things. And then just look at the whole comprehensive financial picture. But I've got a lot of work that I do on the real estate side of things, from analyzing a client's portfolio to helping them understand some of the different options available to them as far as leverage or tax planning or a different network, and just really understanding their whole investment portfolio and what the options are available to them.
And what's your fee structure?
Yeah, and so this is one of the reasons I would say I started my own firm, is because really, in order to work with real estate investors, you have to have just a different setup altogether. So what I've settled upon is a sort of a hybrid fee structure. If a client has enough assets under management that I'm managing their investment portfolio, normal stocks and bonds, not their direct held real estate. But if the fee I get from that, I think, would adequately cover the time and the value that I bring, then it's just the assets under management fee, just like a normal advisor. But oftentimes with real estate investors, they've got so much in real estate and maybe not as much in the market. And if that's the case, which it often is, then I just charge an annual fee on top of the investment management fee, and then bill that just monthly to make it easy for everybody. So it's a hybrid monthly / AUM.
So as we've been working together in developing our curriculum over time and in the study group, one of the things that I've noticed about you is that you really like to dive deep on complex financial planning topics. You're one of the financial planners who really likes to read the tax code and really get into complex and comprehensive, what you might call a use case scenario, right? So how does this work in your firm? Do you have a lot of clients? Do you have a few clients that are higher net worth? How would somebody know if they were listening to this, if they'd be a great client for you?
Excellent question. Yeah, I do find myself very much drawn towards the more complex situations. I've worked with folks who have a pretty simple situation, and I can work with that. But I think one of the things that brings me the most joy as a financial advisor is just digging into complexity and then understanding unique or different investment strategies or tax strategies or planning strategies, and being able to apply them with a client. When they're in a very simple situation, I can't use all of the tools in my tool bag. Whereas if somebody's got a complex situation, then I can use more of the tools in my tool bag, and I just really enjoy that. And so for me, it's less about the client income or net worth, but it's about complexity. And it tends to be that the more complex clients are the higher net worth clients. So, right. Yeah. The more generally, the more assets somebody has, the more complicated it is, the better fit I am as an advisor. I think commonly clients are between $1 and $10 million net worth. Probably on average, it's around 5, but there's definitely some larger ones up there that bring the average up. And they've got a complex situation. A lot of times there's small business, there's several rental properties. Sometimes there's limited partners in syndications. They do some private investing as well as stock market investments. And so really it's my job to take a look at the whole picture of everything, which is the part that I like the most. With that, I'd say my average client is a lot more complex than an average client in general. And so I have much fewer clients than most other advisors I know. So right now I've got around 20, and I don't think I want more than, say, 25 clients. And so I am quite selective of who I work with, especially nowadays that I'm almost full.
What would you say really drives you in your business?
So it's to be doing what I enjoy doing with those people that I enjoy working with. I enjoy having the flexibility to be able to choose who I work with and choose the types of clients I work with, and really do work that I enjoy doing. It's to be able to provide a good wage for my family and be able to just be doing what I enjoy, which is this complex planning, essentially.
Oh, we've had many conversations about, as real estate investors and business owners, about what we wished that financial planners knew about real estate investors. What's the top thing that you think financial planners should know about real estate investors?
Yeah, Cynthia, you and I have talked at
Mhm.
length about this, and I think we're probably in agreement how we would
Yes.
handle this
Yeah.
question. But I would say the number one thing that financial advisors should understand about real estate investors is that they're not just a group of clients that are over allocating to one asset class. They're a group of investors that are small business owners in this particular niche, right? And
Yes.
and really that changes how we view them and how we should serve them as advisors. I've seen it far too many times. In fact, at this last conference I went to, an alternative investment conference, I could tell I was talking to an advisor who's guilty of this. But so financial advisor meets real estate investor, financial advisor says, "Oh, I can help you. Here, let me review your real estate." About 100% of the time, 90 some percent of the time, this helpful financial advisor says, "Oh, after my analysis, it looks like your real estate isn't doing very well. You should put the money in the stock market or some other fund that I manage," or something like that, which is just clearly not helpful to anyone other than the advisor. Maybe the advisor is just very poor at evaluating real estate, but I think it's generally just a lot of self-interest and an advisor that's not very, either not very good at their job or just doesn't mind doing the wrong thing.
Do you think that real estate investors should know about financial planning?
I would say the biggest thing real estate investors should know about financial planners or financial advisors, maybe in general, is that it's a broad spectrum and that really there's no two firms that operate exactly the same. You can have somebody calling themselves a financial planner or a financial advisor that is an insurance salesperson, and they're a captive insurance salesperson. So all they can provide you is the insurance products for one specific company, right? And so this person is probably not going to be very helpful. And if they are very helpful, they've got very misaligned incentives. But at the complete other end of the spectrum, there's people who are fee-only advisors who are not captive to any type of insurance product or investment product. And their only goal is to work with the client to make sure that the client's meeting their financial goals. The term financial advisor is very broad. And so it would be to keep searching until you find one that fits what you're looking for. And I'd say within that too, steer away from the advisors that are captive to one specific investment product or insurance product, and go with somebody that isn't captive to anything, can pick whatever investments or insurance best fits the client. I think this is more and more the case that many financial advisors specialize in a specific niche, right? And so if you're a client that has a lot of stock options, there's advisors that just work with clients who have a lot of stock options. If you're a public service worker, a police officer, or a firefighter, there's advisors that work with just that specific group. Pastors, I know a financial advisor that specifically works with clergy, and that's what their whole firm is built on. In the same way, there's advisors like Cynthia and I, and a number of us now, who specializes in working with just real estate investors.
That's right. And all in slightly different ways.
And some clients are better for Cynthia than it would be for me, and vice versa. And you don't really know until you dig in and do your research on
Mhm.
the advisor. Go ahead and talk to a few of them and find the one that seems like they're a best fit for you. You do want to get a specialist advisor if you have a specialist situation. And I would say real estate is definitely one of those situations.
So, Scott, I'm curious, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
Best piece of advice I have ever received. I think I'm going to take this to the XYPN podcast, stick out to, or I don't know if I'll pick just one, but just encouraging to start your own firm as a financial advisor. I would say episode 200 sticks out in my mind. I know before I started my firm, I listened to episode 200 several times, which was really just that I think was just advisors. It was a compilation of advisors saying what they would recommend. And it was
Good.
just
We're going to
so
put that in the
helpful.
show notes. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend that to anybody who's considering starting their own financial planning firm. XYPN episode 200 was fantastic for me.
Where can we find you online?
So I hang out in a couple of places. I'm not super active on anything. I'm occasionally on Bigger Pockets answering questions for folks there. It is a pastime of mine, depending on what else I'm doing. Other than that, I am running my financial planning firm. I don't have a lot of online presence. I've got a website if you're interested in working together. You can check out a little bit about me, a little bit more about how I work with clients and my core values. But I don't stay real active on all the YouTubes and TikToks and all the rest. However, I might go into YouTube or something like that.
Well, in the meantime, of course, anybody listening can find the Real Estate Financial Coach program at realestatefinancialcoachcourse.com. Scott, it's been awesome to have this conversation with you today and to learn more about your business. For all of you who are listening, to learn more about Scott, and you can hear more about his insights and wisdom in the Real Estate Financial Coach firm.
Yeah, thank you. This was super good.